I'm Professor Walter Schnigel. But you can call me Wally. Did you ever stop and think about the world around you? It's huge! God the Creator made it that way. The book of Psalms say, "How many are your works, O Lord? In wisdom you made them all. The earth is full of your creatures." Now the earth is 24,902 miles around at the equator. So I'm about 6 feet tall. If I was to lay down on the ground, it would take 21,760,902 more of me to reach all the way around the earth. That's really huge! Of course, there's only one of us. There's only one of me. And there's only one of you. Out of all the billions of people in the world, God made each one of us unique. In fact, He made every animal, every insect, every plant, everything unique. Look around your neighborhood.
Bobby, take out the trash.
Count how many different kinds of animals and plants you see. There's probably hundreds of them. Each group of animals or plants is called a species. The hundreds of different kinds of plant and animal species in your neighborhood are just a tiny fraction of all the different kinds of plants and animals in the wide world around us.
Scientists have named 1.6 million species and believe there are between 5 million and 30 million species on Earth.
In Genesis, chapter 1, verse 28, the Bible says God gave us dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, and every living thing that moves upon the earth. So, what does dominion mean? Well, it means control and exercising of control. Now, exercising control over every living thing that moves upon the earth is a big responsibility. And just think of all the thousands of different species that you have dominion over. A lot of people think that human beings haven't done a very good job in exercising control over the earth. They say that humans care more about themselves than they do about the creatures and plants that God created. What do you think?
I really gotta tell you, there ain't no way around it. We gotta leave the planet better, better than we found it. They say it's impossible, that there's really no way. We may be kids right now, but we'll be running things someday. So exercise dominion, exercise dominion, exercise dominion. Take good care of the earth. You got to exercise dominion, exercise dominion, exercise dominion. For God's creation.
we work to protect them, 25,000 species of plants, 1,000 species of birds, and 500 species of mammals may be extinct in the next 5 years.
And now it's time to play Define That Term!
Let's meet our two contestants. First, let's welcome Danny Deer. Danny is a white-tailed deer from Yellowstone National Park. He enjoys grazing and having his picture taken by tourists. He'll be competing today against Oscar Orangutan. Oscar recently retired from the circus and currently resides in the San Diego Zoo. Ready, contestants? Here's our question. The word dominion means A, Canadian holiday, B, to control or exercise of control over, or C, a small spiny caterpillar native to Madagascar.
I'm gonna go with C, yeah. A small spiny caterpillar. I really like caterpillar.
I'm sorry, but that answer's incorrect. But we do have some lovely party gifts for you, including the home version of Define That Term. Okay, Danny, it's up to you to define that term.
I'm going to have to go with B, to control or exercise of control over.
That's correct! Danny, here you are our grand prize winner! Congratulations! That's all the time we have today. But join us right here next time on Define That Term!
Okay, class. Now remember, yesterday we began our discussion of what we as individuals can do to be better stewards of the environment. We talked about the 3 R's. Can anyone tell me what we mean when we refer to the 3 R's?
Reading, writing, and arithmetic?
That's one way we can describe the 3 R's, but there's another way just as well. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? The 3 R's can also stand for reduce, reuse, and recycle. What do we mean by reduce? Elizabeth?
Reduce means to cut back on how much we consume, like conserving energy and stuff.
Very good, Elizabeth. Conservation can have a powerful impact on our environment. What are some ways we can reduce?
Don't stand in front of the fridge with the door open. Keep the door closed to conserve energy.
That's a great idea. Anyone else?
Save water by not taking baths.
Not such a great idea, but taking showers can use up half as much water. What other way could we save water?
Well, I guess you could turn the water off while you brush your teeth instead of letting it run the whole time.
That's a great idea, and one we can all do. If we cut back on all that energy and natural resources we use by conserving water and electricity, it could have a positive impact on the whole world. Now, can anyone tell us what reuse means?
Doesn't it have something to do with the importance of buying a product that can be used over and over again?
Clarence, I love the way you always answer a question by asking another question. It shows that you have an inquisitive mind. You're right. It's important to buy products that can be used over and over.
What about a can of soda? You can reuse that.
You can't reuse the soda, but you can recycle the aluminum can. Recycling one aluminum can save enough energy to produce 20 new cans. Plus, they're a lot of fun to smush. Can anyone else think of a product that can be reused?
Oh, I know. Batteries. You can get the kinds that you charge up over and over again.
That's an excellent example of reuse. Another example of products that fall into the reuse category are products made from recycled materials. That brings us to the third R. Recycle. The more you reduce and reuse, the more of your leftover trash should be recyclable.
Hi! Hey there, buckaroos! Welcome to Protozoa Ranch. Just in time for the big Paramecium Roundup. Of course, you don't have to live here at Protozoa Ranch to have your own roundup. You can do it at home. A protozoa is a kind of animal that only has a single cell. All of its life functions are carried on within that single tiny cell. Now, herding these little doggies, and I do mean little, you can't see these critters without a microscope, it's pretty easy. It all starts with a simple concoction called a hay infusion. You can make one at home with an old jar like this one, a handful of hay or some dried grass, and a little bit of clear, cool water.
Water, clear, cool water. Water, clear, cool water. Under the microscope.
Set the hay infusion aside for a few days, and an amazing thing takes place. Hurt near every drop of this here
Water, clear, cool water.
now chock full of wonderful one-cell critters. You see? He knows. Let's take a look at a drop of the water.
Under the microscope.
Yee-haw! There is a whole thundering herd of Paramecium in there. Yoo-hoo! Now, these little animals eat bacteria and tiny particles of plant matter in the water. They're eaten by bigger animals, who are eaten by bigger animals, who are eaten by bigger animals, which sets up something called the food chain. We'll talk about that later. There are over 50,000 different species of these tiny varmints, and they live all over the world, in puddles, ponds, lakes, creeks, rivers, and oceans. It's just downright amazing when you think of it. Countless trillions of these little doggies inhabit the earth, and every single species was designed by you-know-who.
God, that's who.
So exercise dominion. Exercise dominion. Exercise dominion. Take good care of the earth. You got to exercise dominion. Exercise dominion. Exercise dominion. All God's creatures have worth.
Our world contains an incredible variety of animal life. The truth is, we don't even know how many different kinds there are. Every year, scientists discover new species that no one knew existed before. They are divided into two groups, the vertebrates and the invertebrates. Now, vertebrates have a backbone and an internal skeleton, like your dog or your cat. Invertebrates make up 5% of the animal world. Invertebrates have no backbone, such as the simple protozoa we saw at the Paramecium Roundup. Invertebrates make up 95% of all animal species. Other, more complex forms of invertebrates are sponges and Coelenterata, for example. These animals include sea sponges, jellyfish, and creatures like sea anemones.
Anemones are fascinating animals, solitary ocean-dwelling creatures. They usually attach themselves to rocks and shells. Tentacles surround the anemone's mouth. It uses the tentacles to catch food. Some species of anemone eat only tiny plankton. Larger species can capture and eat small fish and crabs.
Other forms of invertebrates include true worms,
and flatworms. These forms include animals like leeches and tapeworms and earthworms.
You can create a habitat for earthworms by making a backyard compost pile.
Compost is made from plant leaves and other organic matter that is partially decomposed or rotten. Compost is full of minerals that nourish the soil and help plants grow. Start a compost pile by piling grass clippings from the lawnmower and leaves from your yard in an out-of-the-way place. You can add any kind of plants to your compost pile, such as leftover vegetables from the kitchen. You can also add soil to help in the decomposition process. Turning the compost pile helps to speed decay, and a hollow in the top will catch the rain needed to keep the compost pile moist.
Microorganisms and earthworms consume all the yard wastes, breaking them down into compost, some of the richest organic fertilizer around. Earthworms burrow into the soil, allowing air to reach plant roots. And they also help plants by enriching the soil with their deposits. Worms are an important food source for animals like birds and moles.
Invertebrates also include the echinoderm. Echinoderm are ocean-dwelling creatures like starfish, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers. Then there are mollusks. Mollusks include snails and slugs, oysters and clams, and cephalopods like squid and the 8-armed octopus.
There are about 150 species of octopus that live all over the world. They can swim or crawl along the ocean floor. Muscular suckers on their tentacles help grip the octopus's prey. When threatened, they can even squirt a cloud of ink into the water, like a smokescreen, and swim away.
Another form is the arthropod. Arthropod include crustaceans like lobsters and shrimp. They even include arachnids, spiders, and insects like butterflies, bees, ants, and praying mantises.
Praying mantises, or mantis, are cool. The mantis is a kind of Tyrannosaurus rex of the insect kingdom. Mantis have spiny forelegs that appear to be folded in a prayer. Their heads can turn to look directly behind them. They're passive hunters, sitting motionless, waiting for their next victim to wander.
Believe it or not, insects form the largest and most diverse class in the animal kingdom. Entomology is the scientific study of insects. Now, entomologists have described and classified about 750,000 different species of insects. Now, a lot of people just despise bugs, but they're not all bad. It's a good thing, too, because bugs outnumber all other plant and animal groups. Bugs do a lot of damage to crops, but insects also pollinate most plants, allowing the crops to grow in the first place. In other words, don't get mad at the caterpillar chewing your tomatoes without first thinking of the butterfly that fluttered around the blossom, pollinating the plant, which allowed the tomatoes to grow in the first place.
Remember, the bee that stings is also the bee that makes honey.
The highest forms of life are known as vertebrates. As you know, vertebrates are animals that have skeletal systems. Animals with all their diversity and variety, from the tiniest sardines to the biggest whales.
Blue whales weigh more than 20 elephants put together and are over 33 yards long. Their eyes are the size of footballs, and their tongues weigh as much as an elephant's.
Let's not forget reptiles. Snakes and lizards and frogs and alligators are all vertebrates. Birds are also vertebrates. God has designed a huge variety of them as well. Compare the tiny hummingbird to the great big ostrich. Vertebrates include the mammals, rabbits to rhinos, mice to moose, kangaroos, caribous, whales, sharks, elephants, pigs, bats, goats, and rats, anteaters and apes, dogs and dolphins, cats and cows, bears and badgers, wolves and walruses, aardvarks and antelope.
The smallest mammal on Earth is the bumblebee bat from Thailand. It weighs 7/100 of an ounce. The largest land animals are the African elephants. They weigh as much as 16 cars and can grow up to 12 feet tall, although the Indian elephant runs a close second at 11 feet tall. The slowest mammals are the two-toed sloths, who only walk 6.5 feet per minute. The fastest mammal on Earth is the cheetah. It can run up to 62 miles per hour.
We could go on and on, but I won't. Because by now, you've probably gotten the point. God, the Creator, has designed and manufactured an astounding variety of animal species. Every living thing is His creation, and we're all interconnected. We depend on one another to live.
These chains hold up the swing I'm sitting in. Each link on the chain has an important role to play, similar to another kind of chain, one that supports all animal life on Earth. It's called the food chain.
The complex patterns of feeding relationships are called food chains, or ecosystems. A lizard may be breakfast for a bird, and a bird may be lunch for a lynx. All God's creatures fit into the food chain somewhere. That's why if you disrupt a link in the chain, it can have serious consequences. For example, bats eat hundreds of insects a night. Now, if bats and other creatures weren't there to eat the insects, those bugs might destroy all of our crops, and that could affect what we have to eat.
Here's another example. Plankton in the ocean becomes food for tiny fish. The tiny fish that eat the plankton are food for bigger fish. The bigger fish feed even larger ones, and on and on. Think about it. If the plankton in the ocean weren't there for the tiny fish to eat, the whole food chain would be affected. So maybe you'd be eating a tuna sandwich without the tuna. When one link in the food chain is broken, it has an effect on all the other links.
The disappearance of one plant species can cause the extinction of up to 30 species of animals.
Just like if one link on this chain were broken, the whole swing would fall. Humans are at the top of the food chain. Remember, the Bible tells us that God put humans in charge of every living thing that moves upon the earth. That's why we need to take the best possible care of His creation. We're all stewards of the earth, and most of us could stand a little improvement. Being better stewards isn't hard. Most of it is just a matter of forming a few good habits. Remember what Psalm 24 says. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. This means that the world belongs to God. He's given it to us to take care of. God told Adam and Eve to cultivate and keep the Garden of Eden, and He never took back that command. This tells us that God expects all of us, from Adam and Eve on down, to take care of the earth and its resources, not deplete them. Being good stewards means becoming more aware of how we can practice our 3 R's.
The 3 R's can also stand for reduce, reuse, and recycle.
And being careful in the way we use the earth's resources.
You got to exercise dominion. Exercise dominion. Exercise dominion. All God's creatures have worth.
Our God is a loving God who gave us this incredible world to live in. Let's do our part to keep it that way. Okay? Okay. Hey! You guys hungry? Yeah, I'm gonna order some pizza. Hello? Yeah, I'd like to order 2 large pizzas, please. Well, let's see, some Canadian bacon, and some extra cheese, and some protozoa, and some black olives, and maybe some... What? Oh, right. Not protozoa, it's pepperoni. Guys, thinner, thick crust. How about one of each? Well, okay, thanks. Oh, by the way, do you deliver to the zoo?